Information on the Bristol Manufacturing Company brought to you by Megan, Aaron, and Lillian. Our research question is, why did the Bristol Manufacturing Company leave such an impact on the town of Bristol?
Before it became the Bristol Manufacturing Company, it was known as Howden, Daniel and Company. This company ran from 1862 to 1867, manufacturing doors and blinds. In 1867, the name was changed to Howden, Bowsworth and Company, but still selling the same products. Later, it became the Bristol Manufacturing Company, and then soon it would become the second largest casket manufacturer in the country.
George Smith, a Bristol citizen since 1922, had a lot of memories of the factory. He could recall the exact date of the fire, June 12, 1947, which destroyed the building. Although the factory was highly successful when it was first created, by the time of the fire it was starting to head downhill. We were told that not very many workers were even employed then, so not many were laid off. It wasn't a huge tragedy for the employees, but for the town it was. During the beginning of the factory's time, however, producing coffins was in a very large demand. This was because it was during the flu season and the need for caskets grew more and more, so 150 men and women were employed. We also spoke to Peter Ryan, a citizen of Bristol. Mr. Ryan told us that he watched the buildings burst into flames from his bedroom window. Mr. Ryan also noted that the caskets were being sent out all over the country with the help from the Bristol Railroad, which enabled the goods to be sent out quicker and easier.
In Mr. Ryan's opinion, today we are lacking a big local company like Bristol Manufacturing Company. He said it gives the average Joe a job. When you had the lumber mills and the box factory, you were helping the economy. We also spoke to a local resident, Mrs. Bingham, and these were her thoughts.
7 till 12, 1 to 5. And at that time there were whistles. At 6:45 there'd be a whistle.
Yeah, so that's when they went down.
That was to call you down. The same with Drake Smith. Everybody had whistles. Now it's a crime, but a 6:45 whistle and a 7 o'clock whistle. At noon the whistle blew again. And before 1 o'clock it blew again. And if you didn't have a watch, you had no excuse not.
So was it like really expensive to build?
Blacksmith, they probably had one truck to deliver caskets out to the railroad. They had sewing rooms, where the women made the interiors for the caskets, the pillows and the lace, and huge rolls of this fine silk. That how much paid? Yeah. I can tell you this, that my mother kept quarters, and it was $7 a week for room, board. And she served 21 meals a week to these people. She knew their laundry, put the bedding. $7 a week. So, and how much money they had left over after that, who knows? But and then during the Depression, when things were going downhill and they were laying off, the casket factory was, I guess not Drake Smith, it turned into Drake Smith, but Vermont Box was the thing that picked up as much, but they didn't have nearly the number of people, employees that the casket factory did. And they had probably a third of their help was women up there. Where at the casket factory probably would have been the sewing rooms where the women.
I also spoke to Mrs. Coffin, a resident of Bristol, who told us a lot about the Bristol Manufacturing Company. Here is what she said.
Yeah, in the furniture factory, the pine factory. They made pine furniture, and they were very popular for quite a few years. And then people's taste for pine furniture kind of changed over to oak. So when you're manufacturing, you're at the whim of the buyers, the public. for once. One thing one time, and then it gets tired of it and wants something else. So when Drake Smith was sold, Johnson Lumber Company bought it and they tuned it up to make oak furniture instead. And that diminished too. That diminished also, so they closed it down. They weren't making more money that they should have made. Okay, that was one thing. That's about the biggest manufacturing. Autumn Harp came in later. That was much later. And they were big Bristol.
During the year 1870, Bristol Manufacturing Company put out their first casket on the market. There were also a lot of other things going on. For example, the 15th Amendment was ratified, which allowed black people to vote, but not women. Technology was also expanding because William Lyons invented the can opener. This year, Christmas was declared a federal holiday as well. And the Department of Justice was created. The economy picked up a little when John D. Rockefeller formed the Standard Oil Company. With all these things going on, the Bristol Manufacturing Company was beginning to blossom.
After researching the Bristol Manufacturing and learning about why it left such an imprint, it showed how successful it was and how it affected the town. It helped support the town's economy as well as the community. Supplying countless numbers of jobs for both men and women, it helped families bring home income. There has never been another company that has taken its place. It will still be remembered as a business that truly picked Bristol up off the grounds, as said by Mrs. Coffin. It gave so many citizens a job opportunity in Bristol, whereas companies nowadays in town don't. The Bristol Manufacturing certainly left a huge impact overall.